Tonight, the FAA and the TSA issued a joint statement reminding the public that the mask mandate on public transportation remains in effect. It is important guidance as millions of Americans begin to travel over the summer. The FAA says it has received more than 1,300 reports of unruly passenger incidents in just the last 3 months beyond just mask issues. Joining me now to discuss is Sara Nelson, International President of the Association of Flight Attendants. Sara, a pleasure to have you on. I've been seeing some of your tweets in recent weeks and months, and I know lately you're saying, look, there needs to be no confusion about what will be required of you when you get on a flight. What do we need to know if we will be flying today, tomorrow, and the days after?
Well, just as the FAA, TSA, and CDC all reminded us yesterday, the mask mandate is still in place in transportation. And so if you are in an airport or on an airplane, you will be required to have a face covering. That will be enforced. And there's a zero tolerance policy in place as well, because we need to really understand that just what Dr. Fauci said, for the unvaccinated people, the guidance remains the same. We've got to have this layered approach to safety and health. And so in the airports and on the airplanes, we have no way of determining who's vaccinated, who's not. And so the rules have to be the same for everyone. And that is to have a face covering. And if you don't have that, you could face fines up to $35,000 and in fact, jail time if you are refusing to comply.
Tell me what the reaction has been from fellow flight attendants, especially because there is concern that there's going to be an increase in mask fights. We just mentioned in the intro that there have been more than 1,300 reports of unruly passengers, according to the FAA, in just the last 3 months. Are flight attendants concerned that they might see more people, saying, look, the CDC says I don't need to wear a mask. Why should I on an airplane?
When we're not clear with the traveling public about what the rules are, it always falls to the flight attendants to enforce those rules, and it makes our job more difficult, and it gives rise to conflict in the cabin. Flight attendants have been on the front lines of this since January of 2020, and since April of 2020, since those mask policies have been in place at our airlines, we've been enforcing that, and we have been having to intervene in a lot of conflicts, and also we have been at the receiving end of a lot of harassment and abuse and even physical abuse. So we need to be very clear with the traveling public, and I want to really commend the vast majority of people in this country who really just want to know what the rules are and follow them, have a safe, uneventful flight. Listen to your flight crew. We give you instructions just like we know that clear air turbulence can throw you around the cabin suddenly, and we tell you to put your seatbelts on. We tell you to do that for your own safety and the safety of everyone around you. The same policy applies here with the masks. This is for your safety and the safety of everyone around you. We've all got to follow the same rules in that enclosed space where we have to have layers of safety and security to keep us all safe.
It's awful, and I'm sorry that, your flight attendants have to go through what you do and have been going through for the last year with harassment and abuse. Can you tell us specifically about some of these confrontations that have been happening on planes? And secondly, do you feel like this is too soon? Because again, you're saying, a lot of the flight attendants, including essential workers around the country, will have to play mask police.
We have to have guidance that is very clear from the government because, as you said, yes, playing mask police is not a good place to be. When people don't understand what those rules are or what the consequences are for not complying, that then puts all the onus on the people on the front lines who are trying to keep everyone safe, and themselves and their own families as well.
Sarah, though, can you, sorry to cut you off there, but could you tell us a little bit about those conflicts? Like what has been happening on planes?
We've had people actually punch flight attendants. We have had people punch other passengers. We've had people retaliate against the people who are not wearing the masks. We had someone spit into a child's mouth. We had someone urinate on the plane. These are the kinds of things that happen, and those conflicts grow very quickly and exponentially on board if they're not contained quickly. So we've had 10 times as many cases as we have in a normal year in the first 4 months of this year. We need everyone to understand what the rules are and comply. And again, listen to your flight attendants. We're there to keep you safe.
Do you fear that those kinds of incidents will increase with the CDC saying the fully vaccinated do not have to wear masks, even though on transportation, public transportation, it will be required?
Well, look, the Secretary of Transportation, Secretary Buttigieg, and Administrator Dixon at the FAA and the TSA, everyone has been very clear, and President Biden, that this is a requirement in transportation. This remains in place. Our airlines put out a statement last night that was very, very clear. They're going to continue to enforce this. It's a very important part of layered safety and security in air travel, and it needs to remain in place. We also have to remember that air travel is a international network, and oftentimes variants can travel through transportation. So we all want to end the pandemic, and we're not there yet. And this is a really critical part of ending the pandemic, keeping us all safe, and allowing us to resume that life that we want to have. Now, we say, get vaxxed, wear a mask, and come fly with us. People can get out and fly, and that's a good thing. But we have to follow the rules to keep everyone safe and make sure that this is not extending, and we're not putting the onus on the people on the front lines who just have to enforce the policies that are in place.
Yeah, I feel for you. Just quick question, yes or no, will airlines require proof of vaccination in the coming future?
So this is a discussion that's being had, but right now that is not in place. So there's no way to determine who is vaccinated and who is not. We are in discussions, and we need to have more discussions with the federal government about best practices here, about how we can apply an electronic passport of sorts. But it needs to be voluntary. It needs to be specific to COVID-19. And we need to get together to figure out how to best apply that for people so that it can be something that is that helps the travel experience and doesn't hamper people's ability to get around when they really need to.
Wear your masks when you fly on public transportation. Sara Nelson with the Association of Flight Attendants, thank you very much.
Thank you.